Have you ever let one moment, just one careless word, one disrespectful glance ruin your whole day? It's strange, isn't it? We can build a life, a career, a reputation. But 1 second of unchecked anger, and it all begins to unravel. You walk away thinking, why did I let that get to me? Why do I keep falling into the same trap? And deep down, you already know the truth. It's not the world that controls you. It's your reaction to it. That's where the real battle is. Not in traffic, not in arguments, not in unfair criticism or rude strangers. The real battlefield is your mind. And here's the part most men never get taught. You don't win that battle by yelling louder, clenching your fists, or proving your point. You win it by not needing to react at all, by choosing clarity over chaos, calm over control, presence over pride. This isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about mastering it. And that's where Stoicism comes in. Not as theory, not as ancient history, but as a practical weapon for modern life. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 Stoic techniques that will rewire how you deal with anger, stress, and disrespect, so you can walk through chaos untouched. Each one is simple, but none of them are easy, because they require something most men avoid: discipline, self-awareness, and the courage to pause. But if you're tired of being triggered, if you're ready to finally own your reactions, then stay with me, because what you're about to learn can change the way you show up. Forever. Let's begin. 1. Reframe emotional outbursts as habits you can unlearn. Let's clear up one dangerous myth right now. You weren't born angry. You didn't enter this world snapping at drivers, slamming doors, or stewing over what someone said at work. That short fuse, that emotional snap when you feel disrespected. It's not who you are, it's something you learned. Over the years, it built itself quietly. Stress piled up, ego kicked in, and the world kept whispering to you, be tough. Don't let anyone walk over you. Real men don't let things slide. But here's the thing, real strength doesn't yell. It doesn't explode. It doesn't need to win every argument. It stays still, calm, unmoved by noise, like a mountain in the storm. Anger, my friend, is a habit loop. Trigger, reaction, regret. And you've probably run that loop so many times it now feels automatic. But just like any habit, it can be unlearned. Picture this: you're driving. Someone cuts you off. No signal, no apology. Your chest tightens. You grip the wheel. The anger rises like a wave. That's the trigger. And here's the space the Stoics talk about. That tiny breath between stimulus and reaction. That breath is where your freedom lives. You don't have to take the bait. You don't have to keep replaying the same emotional cycle. Because once you see anger as a pattern, not a personality, you give yourself the power to rewrite it. As Epictetus said, any person capable of anger is a slave to it. That hits hard. But it's true. When you let anger run the show, you're not in control. You're predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to throw off course. But when you begin to watch that anger rise and you simply say, this is a learned habit, and I don't need it anymore, you've already won half the battle, because mastery doesn't mean never feeling the fire. It means choosing not to burn every time it shows up. 2. Control yourself instead of trying to control others. Let me ask you something real. How often have you tried to control what someone else says or does, just so you could feel okay? You know what I mean. Your boss speaks down to you. Your partner raises their voice. A coworker throws a passive-aggressive jab in a meeting, and suddenly something inside you wants to correct them, to dominate the moment, to win. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't control people. Not permanently, not peacefully. And every time you try, you give away the one thing you do control yourself. The Stoics didn't waste time trying to manipulate others into acting better. They knew the battlefield wasn't out there. It was inside, right here within. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Most men live in reverse. They want to control the noise outside so they can feel calm inside. But the Stoic reverses that equation. He becomes calm first, so the outside noise loses its power. Think about this, and what does it really mean to win an argument if you lose your peace in the process? You might shut the other person down. You might feel dominant for a moment. But later, you lie in bed, replaying every word. Your heart's still racing. Your shoulders still tense. That's not strength. That's emotional debt. Real strength. It's in the man who feels the fire rise and chooses not to fan it. He controls his breath, his face, his tone. Not because he's weak, but because he's trained. Imagine this. You're in a meeting. You've done your work. You've contributed. And your manager calls you out publicly unfairly. You feel the sting. Your pulse quickens. Your ego wants blood. You could bite back, fire off a sharp comment. But what if you don't? What if you pause, breathe, and say, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll take another look." And you move on. Later in private, you speak your truth calmly, clearly, without venom. That is Stoic power. That is real control. You don't need to crush someone to feel powerful. You need to remain unshaken. Because here's what most men forget. The man who loses his temper first loses. He becomes easy to read, easy to provoke, easy to use. But the man who stays composed even when disrespected, he becomes unreachable. And people notice. That kind of strength. It doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. And that's where confidence is born. Not in being right, but in staying centered. Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Let that sink in. You don't need to control the world. You just need to stop giving it permission to control you. And you start doing that. One breath, one pause, one quiet decision at a time. So next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, don't take the bait. Let them spiral. You stay grounded, not for their sake, for yours. Let's keep going. 3. Build calm. Like a muscle through daily practice, let's get real about something most men never admit. They wait until they're drowning to learn how to swim. Emotionally, that's how most of us were raised. No one taught us to prepare for the storm. We were told to man up, tough it out, or deal with it. But no one ever said, train for it before it hits. You want to be calm in chaos. You want to be steady when life throws fire at your doorstep. Then don't wait for the fire to practice stillness. Start now, in the small, quiet, ordinary moments, because that's where calm is built, like a muscle. Look, no man wakes up one morning with the power to stay calm under pressure. Just like no man walks into a gym for the first time and benches 300 pounds. You build that strength, one rep at a time. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius didn't become calm by accident. He was the emperor of Rome, surrounded by betrayal, war politics, and pressure every single day. And yet he journaled, reflected, trained his mind daily to choose reason over reaction. Why? Because even he knew that without practice, the mind drifts. And when it drifts, it reacts. Not from wisdom, but from habit. Think about your life right now. When do you practice calm? Is it when you wake up and grab your phone before you breathe? Is it when you scroll for hours overstimulated and undercentered? Is it when your only quiet moment is after everything goes wrong? That's not practice. That's survival. And survival isn't mastery. Let me offer something simple but powerful. Take 5 minutes in the morning. No phone, no noise, just breathe. Notice your thoughts, don't chase them. Let them pass like clouds. Reflect at night. What tested you? What did you learn? How can you show up better tomorrow? These small daily rituals aren't soft. They're weightlifting for your mind. You won't feel the results right away. Just like lifting dumbbells once doesn't grow your chest. But give it time, consistency, and suddenly you'll find yourself in a situation that used to trigger you. And this time you pause, you breathe, you respond with intention, not impulse. That's your rep. That's your gain. Maybe your child spills juice on your laptop after a long day. Maybe your partner forgets something important. Maybe traffic ruins your morning plans. These are all chances to train. Because you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. The Stoics understood this. Calm isn't something you reach for when you need it. It's something you carry because you've earned it. So the question is, are you training, or are you just reacting and hoping to do better next time? The men who change their lives don't wait for peace. They prepare for it. They build it deliberately, patiently, like a craftsman shaping stone. So if you want to walk into chaos and remain unshaken, if you want to speak with clarity, not rage, then make calm a daily discipline. Train when it's easy, so you're ready when it's hard. That's not weakness. That's Stoic strength. Let's move to the next piece of this practice. 4. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Let me ask you a question. How much of your stress comes not from what happened, but from how tightly you tried to hold on to how you thought things should go? We've all been there. You map out the perfect day, wake up early, crush your tasks, feel ahead of the game. And then, a meeting gets canceled. Someone shows up late. Your boss changes priorities at the last minute. Now, you're not just behind. You're angry, frustrated, spinning in your head. But pause for a moment. What exactly are you mad at? It's not the traffic, not the late client, not the boss's sudden request. It's your resistance to what is. It's your attachment to how you wanted things to unfold. And that attachment, that's the real enemy. The Stoics had a word for this: apatheia. Not apathy, as in not caring, but serenity through detachment. Letting go of what doesn't serve you emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Here's the truth. The world doesn't care about your plans. Life doesn't run on your schedule. And the more you resist that, the more you suffer. You can try to control the waves, or you can learn to sail. You can curse the wind, or you can adjust your sail. But the storm will come, that's guaranteed. The question is whether you'll sink trying to fight it, or rise by learning to release what's beyond your grasp. I remember something Epictetus said that changed the way I saw setbacks. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And reacting doesn't always mean action. Sometimes it means letting go, choosing not to engage, choosing silence over spiraling. Here's a practice you can start today. Next time something throws off your day, a rude comment, a broken plan, a frustrating delay, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, you've already been handed a gift, the permission to let it go. You don't have to carry everything. You weren't built for that. What you were built for was to be clear, steady, strong in your response, not your resistance. Let go of the need to be right. Let go of the fantasy of a perfect day. Let go of the urge to control what was never yours to begin with. Not because you're giving up, but because you're growing up. Letting go doesn't make you weaker. It makes you lighter. And a man who walks light walks farther. With less weight on his shoulders, less noise in his head, more space in his soul. That's the man I want to see you become. Not the one tangled in every inconvenience, but the one who chooses where to place his energy. Because when you stop clinging, you start living. And you discover that peace was never something to chase. It was something to create. And that creation begins with one simple act: letting go of what doesn't serve you. 5. Turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. Let's be honest. Conflict is inevitable. If you're alive building anything real, leading a team, raising a family, navigating relationships, you will be misunderstood. You will be challenged. You will face moments that sting, frustrate, or test the very core of who you are. But here's the question that changes everything. Do you see conflict as a threat or as training? Most men, when challenged, instinctively go to war. Their ego flares up. They raise their voice. They sharpen their words. They react fast, loud, and often recklessly. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that to be a man is to dominate, to win, to never back down. But here's the hard truth the Stoics understood. He who angers you conquers you. Epictetus. Conflict is not a battleground to crush someone else. It's a mirror to reveal how much of yourself you've truly mastered. Imagine this. You're in line at the store. You've waited patiently, and then someone cuts right in front of you. Bold, rude, no apology. Your blood rises, your fists clench, your mouth is ready with a sharp response. But then something shifts. You remember this is a test, not of your toughness, but of your training. Not of whether you can win the moment, but whether you can win yourself. So you take a breath. You don't flinch. You step back inside your own calm. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. This moment isn't about the other guy. It's about you. See, the Stoics believed that every challenge, every insult, argument, interruption is a rep in your inner gym, a chance to build resilience, clarity, self-command. And if you keep running from these moments, you stay emotionally flabby, always reactive, always drained. But if you meet each moment like a warrior meets his training with discipline, with poise, with a deep understanding that your real enemy is not the man in front of you, but the impulse inside you, then something powerful happens. You stop reacting. You start responding. Conflict stops being something that breaks you and starts being something that builds you. Because the truth is, the loudest man in the room isn't the strongest. The calmest one is. The man who stays composed when disrespected, who holds the line without raising his voice, who can walk away without losing himself. That man is dangerous in the best way possible. He's unshakable, and he's rare. Now, this doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Not at all. It means you choose your response. You defend yourself on your terms, not out of ego. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet his greatest victories were not on the battlefield, but in moments of restraint. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's power. That's leadership. So next time you feel the fire rise in a meeting on the freeway at home, pause. Feel it. Acknowledge it. Then ask, what kind of man do I want to be right now? Use conflict as a doorway, not a dead end. Let it sharpen your edges without hardening your heart. Let it train your patience without numbing your passion. Let it refine you into the version of yourself you respect when the dust settles. Because the men who rise above conflict are not running from it. They're learning from it, growing with it, and transforming it into a tool for self-mastery. Remember, you don't win by overpowering others. You win by mastering yourself, especially when things get hard. And that's what Stoic mastery is all about. 6. Stay present because your imagination makes you angry. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times have you been angry at something that never actually happened? Not the insult that was spoken, but what you think it meant. Not the silence in a room, but the meaning you attach to it. Not the look on their face, but the whole story your mind wrote around it. That's the trap. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. The Stoics saw it long before neuroscience did. Your thoughts, not events, are the real battlefield. Here's the truth most men overlook. It's rarely the moment itself that overwhelms us. It's our mind dragging us into 10 different directions, projecting into the future, ruminating on the past, playing defense against things that may never come. That's how a 3-second event becomes a 3-hour emotional spiral. Someone cuts you off in traffic. That's it. 3 seconds. But in your head, you're still yelling 30 minutes later. You've imagined pulling them over, giving them a piece of your mind, proving you were right. By the time you get home, your body's tense, your words are sharp, and your peace is gone. What really happened? Nothing except that you let your imagination hijack your present. This is why the Stoics trained daily to stay grounded in the now, to catch their mind before it wandered too far ahead or too far behind. To breathe, to return, to see clearly again. Because when you are truly present, you see the moment for what it is, not what your fears, pride, or anxiety paint it to be. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That isn't morbid. That's clarity. When you know how fragile time is, you stop wasting it being angry about things that don't matter, or worse, things that only exist in your imagination. Let's be clear. You're not weak for overthinking. You're human. But the discipline is in recognizing it and choosing differently. So next time you catch yourself spiraling, try this. You're about to walk into a conversation with someone you don't like. Already your stomach is tense. Why? They haven't said a word yet. Because you've pre-written the entire interaction. They'll mock you. You'll snap. It'll turn ugly. You're already in a battle that hasn't even begun. Stop. Come back. Be here. Not in the version of the moment your fear created. Just here. This is the essence of Stoic presence. Not passive silence, but active awareness. You don't need to control the whole situation, just your next breath, your next word, your next choice. That's where your power lives, in the tiny space between stimulus and response. It's not about freezing your emotions. It's about anchoring your awareness. Because when you're present, you don't react from habit. You respond from clarity. You don't spiral into imagined futures. You step into grounded action. You don't rehearse past conversations. You speak with purpose now. Try this when your mind wants to run. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the temperature in the room. Hear your breath slow and deep. Say to yourself, "This moment is enough." You're not doing this for spiritual points. You're doing it to train your nervous system to remain steady in the face of chaos. Because here's the Stoic truth. If you don't learn to be present, you'll be manipulated not by others, but by your own mind. So practice coming back. Not once, but again and again. Every time the mental noise rises. Every time your chest tightens. Every time your anger tries to write the story for you. Pause. Notice. Return. That's the work. That's the freedom. Not in fixing the world, but in owning this moment and not letting your imagination steal it. 7. Drop the weight of resentment before it ages you. Look around. You'll see men who look tired, even when they've just woken up. Men who carry heaviness in their walk tension, in their voice, and a quiet bitterness in their eyes. It's not because of age. It's not just stress. It's resentment. The Stoics called it a silent poison, a weight that seeps deep into your bones. Not always loud, not always visible, but always corrosive. You see, most men believe they've let things go, just because they've stopped talking about it. But silence isn't healing, and burying pain doesn't make it disappear. It just moves inward where it festers. That betrayal from 5 years ago, it's still shaping how you trust. That argument you replay in your head every night, it's stealing your sleep. That person you swore to never forgive, they still control your emotional state every time their name comes up. And that's the tragedy. You think holding on makes you strong, but really, it's draining your power day by day. "You may fetter my leg," Epictetus said, "but not even Zeus can fetter my will." That's what real freedom looks like. Not in getting even, but in staying untouched. Not in clinging to pain, but in releasing it like a flame before it burns your hands. Forgiveness to the Stoic was never about letting the other person off the hook. It was about reclaiming your peace, about refusing to be shackled by someone else's mistake. Because resentment, if you don't let it go, will become your personality. You'll speak sharper, trust less, love with a wall up, and worst of all, you'll miss the joy that's already in front of you. So how do you begin to release it? Start here. Acknowledge the story you're telling. Is it helping you grow or keeping you stuck? Is it strengthening your character or feeding your ego? Name the cost. Every time you hold a grudge, ask, what is this robbing me of right now? Your energy, your focus, your relationships. Choose peace over performance. You don't need to win by proving you're still mad. You win by not needing the past to validate your pain anymore. Picture this. You're in a group conversation. Someone makes a sly, backhanded comment aimed at you. You feel it. You could clap back. You could smile politely and let it brew inside. Or you could smile because you've outgrown the game. You breathe. You say nothing. You move on. Not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying what isn't yours. That's Stoic freedom. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means not letting the memory have access to your peace anymore. It means telling yourself, I've got more life ahead than behind. And I refuse to bring that pain with me. It's not an easy choice. But every time you release a little more, you feel it. In your sleep, in your breath, in the lightness of your step. And no one even has to see it. Because you know, you feel the weight come off. That's the kind of strength you build when you stop rehearsing pain. When you stop being the jailer of your own heart. So ask yourself right now, what weight am I carrying that no longer serves me? Then dare to put it down. Not for their sake, for yours. 8. Pause before you react. It changes everything. One sentence, one tone of voice, one eye roll. That's all it takes. And suddenly, you're halfway through a reaction you didn't plan. Raising your voice, cutting someone off, slamming a door you might regret. It happens faster than you think. Most men live this way. Emotion first. Regret later. We're conditioned to act fast, to defend, to correct, to retaliate. But Stoicism teaches something different. The real battlefield is not the conflict. It's the moment before the conflict begins. That small pause, that breath before reaction. That's where you win or lose yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't act unless it serves the greater good, not don't feel, not don't get triggered. But don't act until the action reflects your higher self." Let me ask you, when was the last time you reacted so quickly, so emotionally, that you ended up saying or doing something you wish you hadn't? We've all been there. You're in a heated conversation, and before your better judgment kicks in, you're already in damage control mode. And the worst part, you thought you were in control. But really, you were on autopilot. Now imagine this. You're at home. Your teenage son talks back again. His tone cuts sharp. You feel the heat rise. Your first instinct is to lash out to restore control. But then you stop. You say nothing. You take a breath. You walk into the next room. That pause. That's not weakness. That's a man interrupting a lifelong pattern. That's power under full command. The mistake most men make is thinking if I don't react fast, I'll lose respect. If I pause, I'll look passive. But it's the opposite. In that pause, you gain clarity. You ask better questions. You remember what outcome you truly want. You aim your response instead of shooting from the hip. The Stoics knew speed is the enemy of wisdom, and adrenaline is a poor advisor. You don't need years of meditation. You just need to train your response like a muscle. And it starts with simple choices. When you feel your pulse quicken, don't speak, breathe. When someone insults you, don't defend, listen. When tension rises, don't explode, observe. Because every pause is a rep, and every rep makes you stronger. You might think, but what if I need to act quickly? Fair. Sometimes life demands speed, but rarely an emotional conflict. Most arguments don't need heat, they need precision. And precision only comes when you allow space. So here's your practice. Next time your buttons are pushed, pause. Even 2 seconds. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath. Ask yourself, is this response going to move me forward or just feel good for 5 seconds? And then speak. Then act. From awareness, not ego. That's Stoic mastery. You don't need to win the moment. You need to win yourself, because in the long run, the man who can pause in tension, who can command his reaction when provoked, he becomes untouchable, and not in a loud, aggressive way, but in the quiet power of a man who owns his mind. So from this day forward, let every moment of pressure become your training ground. Pause, then choose. Because the man who masters the pause doesn't just control the moment, he controls his life. 9. Redefine strength as restraint. What does strength look like to you? For most men, we were taught it looks like dominance, like speaking louder, reacting faster, hitting harder. From the playground to the boardroom, we learned, don't back down, don't show weakness, push back, or get whooshed. But here's the question Marcus Aurelius would have asked. Is that real strength, or just a performance of it? See, the Stoics believed that true power isn't in force, it's in restraint. Anyone can swing back when insulted. Anyone can yell when disrespected. Anyone can prove a point when challenged. But the man who could lash out and chooses not to, that's the man in control. It's easy to act tough. It's hard to remain calm. It's easy to dominate a conversation. It's hard to sit in silence and let your character speak for itself. Let me tell you this. The strongest man in the room is often the quietest. Not because he has nothing to say, but because he's already said it to himself. Restraint is misunderstood. It's seen as weakness, hesitation, maybe even cowardice. But Stoicism flips that narrative. Epictetus said, "It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Because once you do, no one, not insult, not loss, not betrayal, can steal your peace." Let me give you a real example. You're in a heated meeting. Someone calls your work sloppy in front of the team. Your blood starts to boil. Your ego says, show them you're not to be messed with, but something deeper inside you says, is this the moment I prove I'm a leader, or just a loud voice? You breathe. You reply with clarity, not fire. Thanks for the feedback. Let's revisit it after the call. You didn't lose. You just rose. And everyone in the room felt it. That's what restraint looks like. It's not silence out of fear. It's stillness out of mastery. Because restraint isn't about being passive. It's about being precise. It says, I'm not going to fight every battle, only the ones that matter, and on my terms. Think about the last time you lost your temper. Did it make you stronger or just exhausted? Now think about the time you held back. When you wanted to speak, but you chose to observe. When you wanted to act, but you chose to wait. That moment that was discipline, that was real strength. The truth is, we've been lied to. Strength isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself. And in the modern world, where attention is currency and reactions are easy, restraint is rebellion. It's a quiet kind of power. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't flinch, doesn't chase validation. It simply stands. So here's your reminder, brother. You don't need to react to prove you're strong. You don't need to dominate to feel respected. You don't need to explode to be heard. You just need to hold your ground. From a place of purpose, not pride. Because the man who has nothing to prove is the man no one can shake. 10. Clarify the outcome before you respond. Before you speak, before you act, pause and ask yourself, what do I want to come out of this? It's a simple question, but it could save your relationship. It could save your reputation. It could even save your peace. Most men don't ask it. They respond from pride. From the sting of ego, the itch to be right, the heat of the moment. They argue to win. They speak to prove. They act to defend a self-image built on reaction, not reflection. But not the Stoic. The Stoic doesn't speak just to be heard. He speaks to create clarity, not chaos. To move a situation forward, not spiral it out of control. He asks, will this response bring resolution or regret? Am I defending my truth or just feeding my pride? Is this the hill worth dying on or just a distraction from my purpose? Because the goal isn't to win battles. It's to win your own respect. To walk away from a conversation, whether in conflict or calm, knowing you upheld your values, not just your volume. Let me give you a picture. You're standing in the kitchen. Your partner throws a sharp line. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe it's unfair. You feel the heat rise. Your old self would snap back. Try to even the score, get the last word. But the man you're becoming, he steps back, not physically, but mentally. He asks, if I say what I'm about to say, what happens next? Will it escalate? Will it distance us? Will it drain both of us for hours? Or can I choose a higher path? Can I breathe, wait and say, I hear you. Let's talk about this when we're both clearer. That's not weakness. That's power with intention. Because you didn't react. You responded with direction. You spoke not to win, but to protect. What matters your peace, your bond, your self-mastery. The Stoics believed words are like arrows. Once released, they don't come back. So be sure of your target before you draw the bow. In today's world, where arguments happen in comment sections and pride gets triggered in a blink, the man who knows what he's aiming for is rare and powerful. He doesn't shoot wild. He doesn't engage every insult. He doesn't pour gasoline on fires that were never his to tend. He moves like a tactician, precise, thoughtful, guided by his aim. So next time you're pulled into tension, pause. Ask the question, what's the outcome I truly want? Not for your ego, but for your values, for your growth, for your peace. Because when your response is driven by intention, not impulse, that's when you start living like a Stoic, and that's when life begins to align, not with chaos, but with clarity. Let me leave you with this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to never get angry again. You just need to practice consistently, intentionally, and with purpose. Because Stoicism isn't about erasing emotion. It's about witnessing it, understanding it, and then choosing not to let it own you. You won't always get it right. But every pause is a win. Every moment you respond instead of react, you grow stronger. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So hold on to that truth. Make it your anchor. And as you walk back into the chaos of daily life, remember this. Your mind is your most powerful weapon. Sharpen it. Respect it. Use it with clarity. If this message resonated with you, do one small act of discipline right now. Subscribe to Stoic Outlook, hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs more calm in their life, and leave a comment below. What moment tested you recently, and how did you handle it? This isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of life, and the journey continues with you.